Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Mystery Rift. I'm David Paulides, and I'm standing here right now on the South Fork of the Flathead River. It's about 7 o'clock, getting dark, but I wanted to give you a different flavor tonight. A look into the shadows as the light fades. Listen closely. The water behind me is what we call gin clear, exceptionally pure. I've got fish jumping. I hear woodpeckers in the background. But beneath that calm, there's always an edge of the unknown. We need a little bit of that stillness because we have some serious and frankly disturbing topics to cover tonight. Now, before we dive into the deep end, I need to address something straight up. The endless complaints about the ads on the last video. I want to be absolutely clear with all of you. I have never advertised anything on this channel. I do not place the ads here. This content is turned over to a distributing company, which has an agreement with the host platform to monetize this work. Honestly, the money I see barely pays for the travel, the fuel, the endless hours of research. But the sheer number of ads they are inserting, the volume is so high, it raises suspicion in my mind. Speaking of mindset, I want people to know that my entire personality, the mission of Mystery Rift, is built on positivity. We are dealing with tough, cold cases, but we must resist the negativity. It is a black hole that will consume the truth. Years ago, I wrote about the tragic disappearance of David Cook, a professional rock climbing guide who vanished in the Marine Bells on September 20th, 2016. His story, his philosophy, it was one of the most uplifting things I've encountered in all my research into the missing 411 phenomena. I'll never forget the mantra he used in his business, a statement that applies to solving these impossible cases. Life is a series of cans, not cannots. I think about that every single day. We can find the patterns. We can ask the questions. If you're here only to complain incessantly or to tell me the video quality is too crappy, then you have missed the entire point of this work. Please, just move on. I will not compromise the core of what we do. This is just me. Folks, and we will not dwell in the negativity. On the positive side, 9% of you are outstanding. The community response to the petition for Noah Donahoe was overwhelming. The support that poured out from you all, I want to say thank you for doing that. When you sign those petitions, I hope it instills in the public in that area of Ireland the urgency to come forward and support that family. To break the wall of official silence, I had to send a detailed email to a family representative about the steps I would take if I were in their position. Though it is hard not knowing the true political landscape there. But here's the key difference in authority that applies everywhere, including potentially the UK and Ireland. A police chief is appointed, making them a politician who fears the repercussions to their position. They make decisions thinking about survival. An elected sheriff, however, doesn't really report to anybody. They are free thinkers whose primary motive is what they believe is right, regardless of local political pressure. This survival game, where the officials think more about themselves than the victims, is why statements in certain missing person cases just don't add up. It is the same environment we find in our national parks, where the official narrative often falls silent Think about the disappearance of Barry Tragan near Kings Lake outside Glacier National Park. His vehicle was found, the search ended, and they found nothing. I feel desperately sorry for Barry and his family. The silence, the lack of definitive answers in those cases. It's the same cold feeling of an authority structure simply saying, we did our part. The records are closed. Move along. Now, let's move to a case that is currently unfolding. A case many of you have asked me to comment on because the details are so unsettling. This is the tragic disappearance of Nora Quoirin. Nora was a 15-year-old Irish-French girl, but she was both physically and mentally disabled, who was vacationing with her family at the Dusun Resort in Malaysia. She was developmentally disabled and certainly not an outdoors person who could navigate a dense jungle. She disappeared the morning after her arrival, August 4th, 2019. Her parents put her to bed, and she was wearing only her underwear. They woke up, and a window was broken, though we still don't know definitively if it was broken before they arrived. The search went on for 10 agonizing days, an effort involving 500 searchers, multiple canine teams, and helicopters. But listen to this deeply disturbing testimony from the inquest. Nora Quoirin, inquest handler, says, search dog failed to scan teen scent 3 times on the first day of disappearance. A police canine handler testified that a trained German Shepherd dog, an expert tracker, failed to detect her scent 3 separate times on the very first day. If she walked out that door, the scent should have been picked up immediately. The dogs failed. Then, on the 10th day, the body is miraculously found. The site where she was located was searched, officially, at least 3 times earlier. The official assumption, she must have been alive and moving. So she wasn't there when they searched. This defies logic, and frankly, my experience, but this is where the Mystery Rift signature appears. Listen to this headline from the Malaysian paper, indicating the desperation of the authorities. Desperate search for missing Nora Quoirin, 15, was taken by a genie. Claims Malaysian shaman brought in by cops to crack the case. Yes. The police brought in a shaman, a medicine man, who claimed Nora was lured away by a genie, an invisible, supernatural spirit. The spirit, he claimed, was drawn to her because she was special needs. This is eerily similar to other cultural explanations for sudden, unexplainable vanishing acts. When Nora was found, she was lying in plain sight, in a sleeping pose, partially submerged in water, and tragically, completely naked. The cause of death was ruled as starvation and an ulcer. But here's the critical detail that blows the official narrative apart. A fact that is central to the missing 411 phenomena. Her feet had no cuts on them. If someone walks for 10 days through a dense, unforgiving jungle, how are their feet clean? The feet tell the entire journey. This fact alone, the condition of her feet, tells me she was not on her feet for 10 days. She was not wandering. Something highly unusual happened. And the parents remain adamant she was abducted. Look at the location where she was found. It had giant, round granite boulders, a small stream, a waterfall. You've got the water element, you've got the granite element, you've got canines that cannot pick up a scent, and a subject with a disability. This Nora Quoirin case is a classic. Textbook example of the missing person clusters I've researched for years. When I wrote Missing 411, North America and Beyond, many told me to focus only on the U.S., but I continued because the patterns are global. We're up to 11 countries I've written about, and this Malaysian case only gained traction because the victim was from the UK and had the political and media context that most victims don't have. My hypothesis is that this has likely happened in that area of Malaysia before, but the victims were local people who lacked the resources and the powerful international spotlight the Quoirin family could command. The system failed them quietly. We must keep pushing this. I want you to be an advocate for this family. If you live anywhere near a Malaysian embassy, call them. Tell them you support this family and that the story, as it stands, is incomplete and defies common sense. It's exhausting sometimes doing this work, because I feel that profound pain for the family, the loss of their daughter, the baffling official story, the unanswered questions. How many more cases are there just like Nora's? Or like Noah's? I'm talking about potentially hundreds of cases that we never hear about because they are buried in foreign language reports or lost in local bureaucracy. We must be the voice for the silent victims. Now, I want everyone to know that in the description below this video, you'll find all the links to follow Mystery Rift on every platform. If you feel compelled to donate to the cause, I'm grateful. But I'd rather you buy the books and donate them to a library. We need to get this crucial information, these patterns, out to the public. I've personally donated hundreds of books, but we can never have enough. Ask your local library to carry them, or use the interlibrary loan system. Every time I record one of these videos, I realize how incredibly gifted and blessed I am to have all of you as friends. I do not take your support for granted for a single day. Please, be patient with the ads. And if you don't like the production quality, again, this is just me being me. But look, a bald eagle just flew up the valley. Native Americans would say this video was just blessed by its crossing. Wow, that is a sign of great fortune and clarity. Thank you again for your friendship. Thank you for the support. Please post this story, Nora's case, as many places as you can. It's an important one that people need to understand. I'll give you a final view of the shadows across the river. It's a wild area, and the water is still gin clear. Thank you a lot. Folks, you have a great night, and we'll be in touch.